Hello, Clement229 here, another Topic of the Week video, and this week I'll be talking about strong female characters. Actually strong female characters. This week's topic was submitted by Backyard Isabel from the Discord, and her topic is: who are your favorite strong female characters who are actually strong female characters, and what makes them strong in your eyes? In an age where we have prominent characters like Rey and Captain Marvel, who are just two-dimensional Mary Sues, I think we really need to bring attention back to actual strong female characters. Now, I can't go over all of them, or even all of my favorites, because, well, there are too many. I mean, shoot, you can just look back in the past and just see all these strong female characters that we've had in the past. We had Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We had Xena Warrior Princess. We had Mulan. We had Sarah Connors. We've had all these characters for decades, but for some reason, a lot of these characters get overlooked whenever a new female character comes up. Oh, Rey is the first female Jedi. No. You look at the prequels, we had plenty of female Jedis. And we also had, Ahsoka? Ahsoka's also a strong female character, and if you don't really know about her, I highly recommend you watch the Clone Wars TV show. Because it's actually pretty good, for the most part. It does lesser in quality around season 5, but you know, especially seasons 1 through 4, you'll get a lot of great stuff with Ahsoka. There's so much, stuff that has had these strong female characters that sadly gets overlooked. So let's talk about a few of them. I've already talked about Alita from Alita Battle Angel. I made 2 videos on Alita, actually. And yeah, Alita's a strong female character. Because she's actually a character. And that's the funny thing, is that to be a strong female character, it's like, there's this weird idea that's come about in sort of modern times where they need to be strong and fight good, and that's about it. Other qualities that are typically feminine, compassion, love, and caring, all that stuff is generally thrown by the wayside to ironically make these female characters more masculine, which isn't an inherently bad thing, but when that's seen as the only reason how a female character can be strong, there's a bit of a problem. You have a lot of classic Disney princesses overlooked and seen as weak and worthless because, oh, well, they don't pick up a sword and fight. And yeah, some of the older ones are a little lacking in the character department. Well, some of them, even the princes back then, were also kind of lacking in character development, like the prince in Snow White. There wasn't really a whole lot going on there. And yeah, that's just older. But when you look at all these other female characters, it's like, why did you overlook them? Because, and it's usually because they want to prop up a new character, and it's like when I saw, oh, Moana is the first, non-white Disney lead, and I'm like, well, what about Mulan, Pocahontas, Tiana? It's usually a lot of people who don't even really pay attention to a lot of this stuff, and it's really sad because they overlook a lot of great characters just because, oh look, a new shiny character came up, and it's like, I thought Moana was fine, but it's like, come on, you can't forget some of these other characters, and why does everyone forget Tiana? Stop forgetting Princess and the Frog! But you have a lot of these strong characters, and let me talk a little bit about Mulan. Mulan is so funny because she actually does fulfill a lot of the requirements of being the strong female character that's just the stereotypical. She fights. She's a good fighter, and she actually, through training, she actually becomes a rather competent fighter and actually saves the day. It was her quick thinking that actually saved them from the Huns in the mountains. Man, why do so many people skip over Mulan? But it's like, but Mulan isn't just a fighter. There's more to her character. In fact, her primary motivation is the love for her father. Her father was basically drafted back into war, and he's older, he's injured, he can barely fight for 5 seconds. He can barely train for 5 seconds with a sword before an injury flares up and he can't stand properly. He has to walk around with a cane. And Mulan knows that he wouldn't last out in there in war, so she abandons her life. And regardless of whether she felt like she didn't belong, this wasn't even, I don't want to do girly stuff, so I want to go and fight in a war. No. That wasn't her motivation. Her motivation was, my father will die out there. So she went in place of her father to basically fulfill the quota so that her father wasn't killed. She does something very dangerous, very against the law, because she could have been killed if they found her out. But she did it because she loved her father. That's extraordinarily admirable. And yes, she trains. She's not a good fighter at first. She's incompetent like a lot of these other people. But through the training and one very good musical sequence later, she does become a good fighter. But it's something she works at. It's not like a character like Rey or Captain Marvel who just, boom, turn on super ultra powers out of nowhere. Mulan went from being a zero to being a hero. She trained, and it was over a course of that period of the training where she and all the other guys ended up becoming more competent. And she trained along with those other guys, because it's not like she's somehow ultra special. No, she's clever, and this comes up later in the movie, because this is one of the reasons why she is the hero. She's one of the people who spearhead some of these instances through her being clever. It's not that she overwhelms them with overwhelming strength. You know, her idea to shoot at the mountain and cause the snow to, create an avalanche to destroy the Huns, and even if it didn't kill all of them, it wiped out like 99% of them outside of like, what, 6 or 7 of them, maybe? And it was because of her, seeing this and going back. And this is another thing. She goes back to Shang, everyone, and tries to warn them, because they let her go. Shang let her go out of respect for, what she had done and her service and, saving his life. He let her go and basically sort of waived off the penalty of death. Also because he, as he has, lost his father and her motivation was trying to save her father. I'm sure that hit Shang a little too close to home. But it's like she went back there to warn them about the Huns, even if they found out, she could get killed. But she did it because it was the right thing to do. This is why Mulan is such a great character. She does the right thing. She fights and has honorable motivations. And at the end, when she defeats the, I forgot what the Huns leader name, but when she beats him with a fan. She traps his sword in the fan and, wrenches it away from him. She didn't overpower him. She outsmarted him. And she had a little help from Mushu with some Uber fireworks. But it's like, oh, that's great. And she, working with the other guys, used, with her planning, they ended up saving the day. Mulan is a genuine character. And at the end, one of the core of her characters is her bond with her father. And I love it. It's like, and that's great. And it's so heartwarming to see that. To see that, her motivation was to save her father. And at the end, when her father, shows the love for her, and he has like a medallion from the Emperor and the sword of the leader of the Huns, and he dumps that just to be like, I love you, Mulan. Like, you're the greatest thing to me. And it's like, oof, right in the feels. I love Mulan. It's one of my favorite Disney movies. But yeah, I mean, you have a lot of great characters like that. Let me go back a little bit further. Let's talk about Sarah Connor from the Terminator movies. Now, in the first movie, she's, I guess in a lot of ways, a damsel. But it makes sense. She's just a normal person. She's just a normal person. And some guy comes from the future and is trying to protect her from this robot that's trying to kill her. And she basically ends up as the only main character that survives that. Kyle dies. The Terminator dies. And she's traumatized from it. She ends up with a son, John Connor. And then you see her transformation in the second movie after a number of years and, and a whole lot of crap. She's become hardened. She's become a fighter. She's become paranoid. And it's so interesting to see that development, because her becoming a tough, strong female character wasn't something that just happened just because. They didn't warp her character and turn her into that for no reason. It was the result of her experiences from the first movie, transforming her, and, and because she knows the truth about what's going to happen, she knows about the Terminators, yet she ends up in a mental institution because they think she's insane. And, it does sound insane, But shoot, she knows, and she's prepared. She got weapons. She got connections. She trained. You see her. She's pretty much ripped, and it's like no, she's trying to become ready for what's going to happen, and it's part of her development as a character, and it makes sense. It even makes sense why she wants to go and kill the guy who's going to eventually be instrumental in creating Skynet. Because, well, she's desperate to stop this bad future. And one thing I really do like, though, is that because even though she has become so much stronger physically and in a lot of ways mentally, when she first sees the Terminator, like the Schwarzenegger Terminator, when she's escaping, she, boom, instantly, loses it. She has a complete, she completely freaks out and she stops. She can't move. And, but yeah, it makes sense. Because she was traumatized by the Terminator attack. She's still, no matter how strong she is and how strong she's become, she still has weaknesses. And this is and I remember when I was first watching Terminator 2. And it's yeah, but you see, that's good for her character. Because if a character is infallible and just does whatever and always succeeds, it's not very interesting. She pushes on despite the fact that she has those fears. Those fears are why she pushes herself forward. She doesn't give up because she knows how bad the future is going to get. She's already experienced one Terminator. And so, of course, when she sees another one, no matter how strong she is, it terrifies her. And it's something that misses in a lot of characters. And you can point this out to Rey and Captain Marvel and some others, but Korra, but they lack real weaknesses. It's not something, and sometimes they'll have sort of almost obligatory weaknesses. I mean, I remember one of Rey's faults was that she cares too much, which can be a fault. Shoot, Sora in Kingdom Hearts, that's one of his faults. He almost fell to darkness in one of the games because he cared about his friends too much. But that's more Sora's character. But it's but with Rey, it's okay, she's amazing, she's flawless, she has ultimate force powers even if she shouldn't even know about this. And she beats a guy who's already beat Luke Skywalker, and then she beats Luke Skywalker, and then she's saved by coincidences. And then leaves, and she's okay. And so starts making her triple shots on TIE fighters. It's not interesting. Good characters, not just good female characters. Good characters have flaws. They have faults. They make mistakes. They work past this. This is one of the reasons why I really like Alita. Alita makes mistakes. Alita, when she's working with her original body, when she's fighting against Gruishka, she ends up getting stomped. This is why she ultimately ends up going into the more powerful Berserker body. And even then, even when she's left with just a torso and an arm, she's still fighting back. That determination is admirable. And this is also something that was interesting, and Rosa Salazar, the actress for Alita, said that, boys and girls can both relate to Alita. And it says, and this is something distinctly different than what you would see for something like Rey or Captain Marvel, where they want to aim this at little girls. Boys screw off. Girls, that's all that matters. But no. These characters can be looked up to by male and female characters. Why do you think characters like Leia, Ellen Ripley, Sarah Connors, Mulan, why do you think characters like this also are looked up to by boys? Because they're not because while they are female characters, while they do have feminine aspects, they're still good characters. And this is the thing. Luke Skywalker is looked up to by females. I know a lot of guys really like Ahsoka and look up to her character. Why? Because they're good characters. And this is a problem with a lot of strong female characters when they're trying to be empowering for girls. But I'm we've had girl power stuff for decades at this point. You don't need to just empower girls. Why don't you just empower people? Don't boys need some of this stuff too? Why can't all these characters be for everyone? This is why I really liked what the idea that Alita is not just for girls. They don't say, well, I don't want boys watching my movie. No, 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 no. This is the thing. I can look up to Mulan's character because of her genuinely good character traits, her perseverance, her genuine strong good heart. Like, I can look up to that stuff, regardless of me being a guy, because those ideas are more universal. And it really pains me that a lot of strong female characters, genuinely strong female characters from decades and decades of cinema history and TV history are completely overlooked because they've got a new shiny character to prop up, and oftentimes with the unfortunate divisive political narrative to it. Well, this is like, Mulan doesn't have a divisive, political narrative to it. It's just a good movie with a great protagonist. Shoot, a lot of people really like Black Widow. A lot of people really want a Black Widow movie. A lot of people really like Black Widow from the MCU. A lot of people really like Scarlet Witch in the MCU. And, Black Widow is maybe not a main character, but she's still a good character. And shoot, especially in Avengers, she gets a little more insight on her past and why she works for S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, that's more than you get from characters like Rey and Captain Marvel, who, unfortunately, are just not good characters. They're flat, they're boring. I mean, even if you ignore the divisive political natures that surrounds them and a lot of advertisements for them, they're just not good characters. We need to dump all of that. We need to stop trying to prop up, look, she's a strong female character, and go, no. She's a strong character. I mean, the phrase strong female character has become an absolute joke, because it's almost, because when you say something like that, you think of a bad character like Rey or Korra, and it's like, it's become a joke, where they have these characters who are just strong, Mary Sues, who don't actually have any depth to their character. They don't have any real development. And it's like, how did we get this right decades ago, but not now? Well, really, that comes from things being politically motivated. And a lot of people not writing this from a creative standpoint, but they're writing it from a sake of, look, I have a strong female character. And no, you can't approach it like that. Because if they approached a character like Mulan or Sarah Connor with that approach, and just shoved it in your face that she's a strong female character and you boys gotta deal with it kind of attitude, they wouldn't be nearly as beloved as they are. Because that's stupid. And shoot, if you look at a character like Tiana, I brought up Tiana a little bit earlier. Tiana from Princess and the Frog is not a fighter. She doesn't pick up a sword, not like Mulan. She's not trained and, ripped and ready to fight like Sarah Connor's. But she's a good character. Strong female characters don't need to pick up a sword. They don't need to fight. Just like a strong male character doesn't need to fight. There are plenty of male characters out there who are, the sort of like the nerdy type, the tech guys, who aren't actual fighters, but are still good characters. Just because they're not Conan the Barbarian doesn't mean that they're bad characters. Because if all of them are the exact same type of character, that's really boring. And this is the problem that a lot of people have, is they want all female characters to fit into the same mold. You look at a character like Elsa from Frozen, or Anna from Frozen. Are they weak because they're not trained fighters? No. Even though Anna is pretty strong. No. In fact, the core of Frozen is the sisterly relationship between Elsa and Anna. Is that bad? Is it bad that Anna ends up falling in love with Kristoff? No. And you can have, Elsa doesn't have a love interest, and she's fine. Anna has a love interest, and she's fine. One of the strongest, Anna's strongest character traits is, especially her love for her sister. And that's one of the driving points of her motivations in the story. It doesn't make her weak. It doesn't make her a bad character. You can show feminine traits in a positive light. And it really annoys me that they turn some of these characters into men with boobs, basically, where if you swapped them with a man, there'd be practically no difference. And it's like, no, there's a difference between a male and a female character. And you can't just wipe away all the femininity and go, now she's strong. It's kind of a weird message to send that you have to get rid of all femininity in order to be strong. No, women can have feminine traits and still be strong. There are plenty of... you can see this in a lot of movies and TV shows, especially. You have some female characters who aren't fighters. They don't need to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Xena Warrior Princess in order to be strong. And it's something that I think a lot of writers really need to, nowadays, really need to take a step back and think, do I really have to do this with the character? Do I have to make this female character a tough, rugged fighter in order for her to be strong? No, you don't. There are plenty of strong female characters out there with different types of personalities, with different stories. Some stories don't even require any real fighting at all. Shoot, Frozen doesn't even really require much fighting from Anna or Elsa. A little bit from Elsa, not really from Anna. But it's because they're not fighters. Different characters have different stories. Tiana has a different story in Princess and the Frog than you would get from, say, an episode of Xena. It's a different story than what Mulan has. And that's not a bad thing. Variety! Variety is the spice of life. So create different types of female characters, but make them good characters. That's how you get strong female characters. Well, I think that's about it for this topic. If you want to submit a topic to me, you can comment below on YouTube, or if you're on Tumblr, you can send me an ask and put topic : then whatever topic you want me to do. Or if you're on the Discord, you can submit a topic in the topic submissions channel, and I'll put it on the list. Just make sure to follow the rules that I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when you get that done. So what are some strong female characters that you like? Please comment below, and thank you for watching.